Riverview Shores is a development that has been a long time coming. But as we move steadily into 2025, it's clear that it's on the way. Now seemed like a good time to see where it came from. The former quarry, on which the development is based, had been present on Highway 15 since at least the 1950s. Once closed, it became a popular local swimming hole. The water, in places nearly 40 feet deep, claimed at least one life. This, and economic factors, may have led to a decision to build 250 housing units on the site. Work begun in 2020 led to the situation you see here. Much of the early work involved drilling and blasting to retract the boundary walls. Considerable quantities of material were introduced to fill in the former quarry pond. In the early phase, there was clearly a battle to keep water out of the site. There was a constant effort to broaden the base upon which homes could be built. More than 3 years ago, the outlines of what would become the streets were already clear. But there was more, much more, to come. In the early years of the development, winter brought a halt to most activity. Perhaps it exposed, too, the potential fragility of the exposed rock faces. The pace would pick up each year as the weather improved. But one consistent feature of activity was the movement of masses of material in an effort to reclaim as much ground as possible. As 2022 progressed, much of the layout was becoming clearer, and evidence of infrastructure development became commonplace. There was the usual slow start to the year in 2023. Work on the north end, and particularly the north wall, continued steadily. Overall, it was becoming clear that the ground was being prepared for housing. The materials and supplies for in-ground infrastructure were showing up steadily. But attacks on the walls continued relentlessly, even as the floor was being worked. As we moved into summer, two major efforts could be seen. One to develop the infrastructure, and the second to exploit the walls again. There were clearly plans, too, for the northwest corner. It has been a constant source of amazement to see just how much material is worked on this site. This sweep of the site may give you a feel for the activity level at peak times. As winter once again took hold, work slowed down considerably, but one thing that did become evident was the shape of things to come in the northwest corner. A first visit to Riverview shores in 2024 reveals considerable changes. Two holding ponds are now clearly present, and retaining walls have been built. Street layouts are now distinct, and in some cases ready for paving. By August, much of the infrastructure work is done. Work on the holding ponds and a pumping station is continuing beside newly paved roadway. Steel mesh has been pinned to the top of the north wall and covered with shotcrete to stabilise it. The same mesh has been applied to the east wall, even as work continues on the streets. As preparations for housing continue, lampposts can be seen in the southwest corner. As the fall colours appear, some of these are seen to be positioned. Curbs on many of the roadways are a hint that paving is to come. Evidence of such advances does not mean that work on basic material is over. In fact, in October, some basic quarry work is taking place. This is very likely a fortuitous byproduct of the development. November reveals significant paving work, lamp posts, and the start of construction on the first home, which will be the model house. Even as work continues on shaping the site. At the north end, the complex of the holding ponds appears to be nearing completion. December sees the model house awaiting roofing and siding. One of these requirements will be met before the new year, and work on a second home will have begun. There's clearly a great deal more work to come, and if you want to stay abreast of developments, then please consider subscribing. And thanks for watching.